Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. We're so glad you could attend. Come inside, come inside.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Expat Conversations with your host, Michael Nolen. I want to say thank you very much for tuning in. And as always, I want to say thank you very much to General Rector Dr. Marco Antonio Cortez Gradado of the University of Guadalajara, that is in charge of the Investigation, Immigration, and Governance Division of the University of Guadalajara. He's the one that allows us to have this outreach for the expats. And also want to say thank you very much to Villa Monte Carlo Resort here in Chapala, Mexico, that allows us to use their beautiful, beautiful facilities. So thank you very much to them. Now we're going to get on with this episode of the show. I have two gentlemen, Victor Martinez, Michel,
Sí, buenos días.
and Cesar Rubio Aguilar.
Buenas tardes.
Boy, I did those names pretty easy.
It's Aguilar.
Aguilar. Well, I always mess it up, but unless it's somebody like Vicente Fox.
The story of my life.
Vicente Fox.
Thank you for having us, Michael. Thank you for the invitation, and thank the University of Guadalajara, my university, his university. Mi alma mater.
Well, they're with O'Rourke and Lloyd, and I first became familiar with this company 5 or 6, 7, maybe 8 or 9 years ago in Puerto Vallarta, when Tamara Anderson, who was the Consulate General in Guadalajara, brought her group over to Puerto Vallarta to talk a lot about what the federal government does for the gringos, the expats from the United States here in Mexico. And O'Rourke and Lloyd were very generous to allow us to use their facility. They have a large auditorium. Seats, I don't know, about 100 and 150 people.
Yes, you can have a concert there.
And it was full. All the people want to know what the government had to say. And so they, not only that time, but that was the first time I got to know your company.
Thank you.
But for many times after that, we had meetings there, and different organizations had different things. So thank you to all for reaching out to the community. It's very important. And Fabian was on my show a couple of times. He's the nephew of one of the founders.
Correct.
Of the company. And Cesar was there. And so thank you very much. But
thank you.
We're going to talk about, I guess the best thing would be financial advice that your company provides. You're not actually a bank, but you're financial advisors. And there's a lot of different things that you do that can help expats that are coming down here. So I'm just going to be quiet for a minute and let you all, well, maybe 10 minutes, 15, and let you all tell about your company, the history briefly, a little bit briefly about yourself. You said you're both from the University of Guadalajara, which thank you very much. And then just kind of tell us what you do and how you can help the expats make their life a little bit easier and more tranquil and a little more secure living down here in Mexico.
Absolutely. Yes, Lloyd started, Mr. Allen Lloyd started back in the 50s here in this area. He started in a small hotel in Jocotepec.
Okay.
And actually his first office was here in Chapala, in Lourdes. This is back in the 50s.
50 years ago. Wow.
So this is the time when the expats wanted to come down to Mexico and retire and buy a house, buy a lot, build a house. So normally they would fill their trunk with dollars and come down to Mexico and get banditoed in the Sonora Desert. So Mr. Lloyd, knowing the language, knowing the culture, knowing the banking system and insurance system in Mexico, well, he started in a small desk and started to offer advice to the expats. So yes, he brought a financial world to Chapala. And you could insure your vehicle, you could do a money transfer to safely have your money here and buy the house, buy the lot, build a house, rent the house.
Well, I came down from the United States and I brought the glove box, had a little bit of money in it. There wasn't any trunk full, but I understand what you're saying.
Yes. So after that, well, they built a huge company called Allen Lloyd and Asociados, downtown Guadalajara. The company grew and grew and grew. And this company, the first managing company in Mexico back in 1988, grew as the biggest independent managing company for investment funds in Mexico. Today, O'Rourke Investment Funds is an authorized investment fund broker only in Mexico.
Okay.
We do have a huge variety of funds, starting from money market, medium term, long term, equities, Mexican equities, international equities as well. Dollar funds, yes, through our company, we have a fund in US dollars that you could keep dollars in Mexico. Normally, you could only do in a bank and only at the border, which is allowed in Mexico. So if anybody needs an account in US dollars in Mexico, well, you can make an appointment with us and we'll tell you all about it.
Okay. What else have I not? You do services. You have different types of investment options.
Yes.
If you'll just kind of go over the portfolio of what all the services and kind of how people have to maneuver to get to you all, and then later on we'll give out the contact information where you're located. Because you have quite a few branches
now
here.
in Mexico, the short-term rate is at 11.25. So yes, you have to take advantage of this. This is not going to last forever. And here, Victor, my co-worker, can tell you all about it.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Well, yes, the first thing we're building is urgency to bring some of their assets, because they brought the most important asset, which is their own person, to this region. They're living here. So what we provide is a vehicle of investment in the money market, with a conservative profile of investment and liquidity, and have their assets earning as much as 11%.
Wow.
And our investment starts with as little as 1,000 pesos, but most of our clients now grant us or trust us enough to invest in average around 700,000 pesos. So people who come here to Ajijic can bring some of their assets when we're talking about expats. For nationals, we can invest with as little as $50 and start building a portfolio. That's why we have such small initial investment, to incentivize people, but to start their portfolio, start earning daily interest, because our interest compound daily. We give access online to check balance, and what we mainly do is we invest the money, and then when the client needs it, we can give it back to a bank account, which would be a transactional account for the client, or pick up a little bit of it at the branch in cash, up to 25,000 pesos in cash daily limit. And that's basically the service that we provide, to give security, stability, peace of mind that some of their assets are here, that if they lose their wallet and they don't have an ATM card, they can give us a call and say, listen, I'm here at the hospital, I have to pay a bill, something like that, and we will be coming to them to get things sorted. But it's a way different thing than trying to call JP Morgan or trying to call your bank in the United States to solve a problem or solve an issue here. So the whole idea is to bring some of your assets down to this country.
Well, just the exchange rate changes hourly.
Yes.
And if it's around 20 to 1, 20 pesos to $1, just for an example, about 1 million pesos is about $50,000 American.
Correct.
And right now it's around 1730 something. When I first came to Mexico back in around 2000, it was around 10 or 11. And then it went up, and I think the highest it's been around during the pandemic was 24.6 or almost 25.
Correct.
It might have hit the 25, bro. And then it came back down, and it was around 20 to 1 for a long time, several years, and now it's been going down. It went down to 16.38 or something. Now it's back up about 17.25. But it does change. But it is a great, I guess, peace of mind to know you do have a company like yours that can have funds there for you. And I don't know of anything you can do in the United States to give you that kind of return. You know, anything over 5, 6 savings accounts in the United States at banks like JP Morgan Chase, 2 or 3%.
Correct.
I think they had some funds the government gave out a couple of years ago, got about 9, but nothing really exceeded that. And then you had quite a bit of money tied up for a while. So
Yes, the highest of the CD rates in the United States is about 5.5% right now in September.
wow.
So, yes, there's a huge inflation in the world. After the pandemic, rates went up sky high. The disruption of the chain of supply from China and all of that has brought inflation to the world. Mexico's inflation right now, we were almost at 10% a couple of years back. Now it's at 4.69 inflation. But the Mexican rate is at 11%. So yes, you can take advantage of that. Not many countries right now can say that Mexico has more reserves than debt. And
That's
Mexico
rare.
can still, this year and next year also, can still say we can pay our debt and still have change left over.
Well, the economy in Mexico is getting stronger and stronger and stronger, and actually was kind of helped by the pandemic because countries like China that made so much over there and brought to the Americas found out they couldn't do it during the pandemic because they couldn't unload their ships, they couldn't do all of this
Correct.
stuff. So moving everything from one country to another became a big problem.
Very expensive.
Then they decided, well, why are we transporting it all around the world when we can actually start factories?
Correct.
And I know south of Monterrey, there's a huge, huge area right now where there's billions of dollars being put in to the infrastructure for new factories, new plants.
Yes.
And they're going to be making so much more here so you don't have the transportation problem that they have in the past. So the Mexican, as you say, one reason is because they've got their house in order. And there's a great opportunity for finance and investment here in this country right now because everything's going positive.
That's the nearshoring effect. No? I mean, all the companies moving out from China and coming into Mexico, bringing huge investments of U.S. dollars. So basically, the country's flooded. It's being flooded with U.S. dollars, and that's why from 24 we're looking at 17 and change right now. So this could stabilize the currency, the peso against the dollar for the next years. We just got to wait and see what kind of interest rates we'll have this month if the Fed, the U.S. Federal Reserve will raise rates, and then the exchange rate jumps a
Well, they
little bit.
will because they
So
have been for the
it's-
last couple of years.
It's tough right now. It's tough, but I would say there would be a lot of stability for 10 years from 2010 to 2022. The exchange rate did nothing but go up, up and up and up. Everything that goes up must come down.
Well, that's
But
true.
again, everything that goes down must come up.
Sooner or later. What else do you want to touch on?
Well, one of the things that, or one of the reasons why nearshoring is happening also, is because Mexico is one of the countries with most free trade agreements in the world.
That's true.
So we have over 50 trade agreements with 50 different countries, compared to the United States, only 20. So a finished product in Mexico can be exported to so much more countries than a finished product in the United States. Canada has free trade agreements with around 15 or 18 countries. I don't remember off the top of my head right now, but Mexico, that's the amazing part of Mexico. Our hand labor is now cheaper anymore. But that's one of the
another thing.
reasons.
It's very important because the Chinese, were very, very cheap for a long time. And I know that because I worked for a Chinese company for a couple of years. It was in the United States. It was a lot of different circumstances. But the our labor used to be very, very, very cheap. It's not so cheap anymore because the middle class of China has come up. And I think Mexico now is offering more opportunities for corporations to come here, build plants, build factories, and not only ship it to the United States, Canada, but right down here you have Central America, and then you have all of South America, and the shipping channels are open. It's easy to export to the South, as well as Europe and other parts of the world, Asia. Mexico is centralized where you can go the Atlantic way
Exactly.
or
Pacific,
the Pacific way.
South,
South,
North,
yeah.
It's
Centrally located.
It's a
It's great.
good-
That's a buff. Very good idea for them.
But coming back with our investment funds, yes, we are proud to say that any person, John Doe, can come in and open an account as little as 1,000 pesos. We want to give the opportunity to any person that wants to start save money for the future, planning for retirement, or if you're already retired, you have to have an emergency fund of any kind in case of a sickness, if you need an operation, et cetera, et cetera. But we're the place to be. The majority of our funds are AAA rated. Our money market funds, our medium-term funds have to do only with government securities. So you don't need the FDIC, you don't need an insurance when you're buying the true Mexican treasury bills, the true Mexican treasury bonds, CETES, everybody knows CETES. All those instruments that the fund purchases for you are guaranteed by the Mexican federal government. Mexico has never defaulted interest. Almost in 1982, almost in 1995. President Bill Clinton bailed us out, gave us a loan. President Fox, when he got in office, prepaid most of that debt. And now, 2 decades, 3 decades later, we can say that Mexico has more reserves than debt. It was forecasted that 6-7 years ago that there would be a world debt problem. Mexico doesn't have that problem right now. So
One thing Mexico did was, like, especially with petroleum, you know, Pemex runs the petroleum industry in Mexico, and they never got into the problems like the United States were in back in the late 70s with OPEC and how that got created and all that. And Mexico kind of took better care of their house in a lot of ways, and so it's all paid off in the long run. We have an election here in Mexico in a couple of years.
yes, we do.
Is that going to change things? Is it next year, 2024?
Well, we have to see the outcome of the election, of course. Looks like Morena is the strongest party right now. There's 2 women running for office.
Yeah.
So this is historical. This is basically Xochitl Galvez, who is a senator for the PAN, is forming. They formed a movement between 3 parties, the 3 biggest parties, PAN, PRI, and PRD. She's the candidate representing those 3 parties, and we have Claudia Sheinbaum, who was recently she's now the former governor of Mexico City. She's going to run for Morena, so that'll be interesting. We have to check how the outcome on Congress and the Senate, and of course what we want, or everybody wants, is pretty much a divided Congress and Senate. So
well, that's almost true in a lot of different countries, but it seems like from the history that I've learned about Mexico that no matter who's in power, it seems like the country in general kind of figures its way out and goes for the best, for the most, for the whole country. And I think companies like yourselves really help guide from the little guy all the way up to the Cardo Slims. Well, I don't know if he needs any guidance at all. He probably has more financial companies than he could put in his
Yes,
pocket.
he does. Yes, he does.
But you talked about the government things. Do you all invest in or put people's money in like silver, the Mexican Libertad, a pure ounce of silver, or gold, or precious metals as they call it?
We have one fund that does have gold and silver, but not entirely 100% of the assets go into.
So you balance things out to where it's up and down.
We're always looking
level
for
out.
diversification, and that's one advice we want to give you and your audience is that you have to diversify. It's not just because the Mexican rate is at 11%, it's very attractive. Okay, you always just have to diversify, and you have your dollars, have your pesos, have a little gold, a little silver. Never hurts.
As my grandmother said, don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Correct.
Right.
Because if you drop that basket,
That is a very powerful.
you're not going to be eating huevos that day.
Yeah.
And I think that's very important to make sure your portfolio is balanced out a little bit to where something's up, something's down. You always want everything to be up.
Right.
Sell high and buy low.
And other than just investment funds, our company also has over 50 years experience in insurance. We're also insurance brokers with
Okay.
work
Now,
on-
what kind of property, vehicles, yachts,
House insurance.
house insurance?
House insurance, health insurance.
Health insurance, I didn't know
automobile
that.
insurance, yes. We can provide that under one roof, investments and insurance.
So one person come in, open up an account, and the next thing you know, talk to a different individual.
Correct.
About this, you're kind of like a company that does a lot under one roof, like
That's
you
correct.
said.
That's correct. It is very important in this country, especially in this country. You can't be without insurance,
No, that's-
automobile or health.
The thing about I like down here is I don't have home insurance here
Well,
because
they say
nothing's going to burn. My whole house is
yeah,
brick
yeah,
or rock
it's
or
all,
something
it's all
like
bricks,
that.
yeah. But then the context, you do have floods down here. Once in a while,
Well.
you get a big flood, So you might want to.
But there's no hurricanes over here in this part of the
You
world.
might want to consider, having
Maybe an
homeowners
earthquake. I don't
insurance.
know. That's why so many gringos live here, so many expats, because it's beautiful weather. It's quiet. It's peaceful. You're not affected by tornadoes or hurricanes or floods or anything. It's just really nice. This is a good part of the world.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, but
Can't say so much about Puerto Vallarta and the Bay of Banderas because that's
Very hot and humid.
We
Yeah,
have
it's-
we have two offices in Puerto Vallarta, one in Punta Mita, another one in the marina you were talking about. We have another office in San Miguel de Allende. We have two offices in Guadalajara, and pretty soon we'll have presence in Tijuana and Hermosillo.
and of course here in Ajijic.
Well, with here, the company was created, was founded in Chapala. It's unbelievable. It's incredible.
It is. It's a little tiny, but
Yeah.
it's like Kodak. Eastman Kodak started in a little town. I think it's Rochester, New York,
Correct.
and grew to be one of the biggest corporations in the world. And
Correct.
Michael Dell started his little Dell computer in his mom and dad's garage after he got thrown out of the University of Texas, and look where he ended up. So
But please, and anytime you need an advice or you want to make an appointment or just come and visit, we're happy to help. If there's anything we can do for you, please.
is there a general web page they can go to, a website? Just look under o'rourkeandlloyd.com or what is it?
It's www.oafondos.com.mx, and that will in that webpage you will be able to find also all our offers, all our mutual funds. So we have over 19 different mutual fund operators going back to what it is O'Rourke. Under our umbrella, you could get 18 different mutual fund operators and have a portfolio switching from Principal to Franklin Templeton to Monex to Finagu or the mutual fund operator that has the better returns.
So you have multiple
Yes.
different investment opportunities where you can put people's money, spread it out. And that's one thing we're going to try and do. If I can get the technicals all worked out, while we're talking, you're going to be hearing our audio, we're going to put some video up of different slides that you all have presented to us, and you'll be able, hopefully, when you watch this presentation, if they black out us for a little bit, you're going to be seeing some slides that'll give you some information and more in detail that we can kind of go over.
For
he has a
example,
couple like he's holding here.
Yes, Monex Mass is one of our most stable mutual funds right now, yielding in the last 28 days 10.59 in investments for over $1 million pesos. Compared to the CETES, and it's in one of the slides that I sent to Michael, you will see the evolution of CETES. In the last 2 years, 455, and the fund has been yielding 17 in the last 2 years. In the last year, CETES has yielded 8.70. The fund has been yielding 10.64. In the last 6 months, the short-term rate has been yielding more than the long-term rate. That's why CETES has been yielding 11.23 and our fund 10.76. And in the last 28 days, 11.28 against 10.59. The point of this slide is to show stability, that this fund has been yielding, conservatively speaking, 10%, very consistent. So with an investment close to $50,000, which would be $1 million pesos, a month would yield you in pesos 8.46. In 6 months, 53,800. In 1 year, 106,400 pesos. In 2 years, 170,200 pesos. But offering a portfolio that would give you a return, because INEGI says anybody that yields or anybody that earns over 130,000 pesos is somebody that doesn't need to worry about nothing, but that's more likely to happen in Mexico City. Here in Ajijic, you don't have to worry about nothing. Earning 90,000 pesos a month, you easily can cover all your expenses. But to get to that number, you could invest 16 million pesos, which is less than $1 million right now, spreading a portfolio 4 million pesos each, and that's where you will be yielding 130,000 pesos a month or more. That will give you no concerns whatsoever in mutual funds that will be very, very stable. That's what I mean to bring some of your assets here, because you already brought them your most valuable asset, which is your person. So for somebody to take care of themselves and their loved ones, or get out of any problem here in this country, having some of their assets down here, it's super important, and it will give you a peace of mind. There is another slide of 1 million pesos invested in variable return. That portfolio would be yielding in the last month around 19.76%, which is 15,000 pesos for 1 million pesos. But that's more for somebody making their portfolio, building up. That's more
Building
what I
wealth.
offer to Mexicans. For an American that already invested in stock market, I offer the money market in Mexico without the risk or without the headache of having the portfolio diminish for a little bit or averaging costs. I leave that for young people.
If you're making above 10% without risk, no sweat whatsoever, why take a risk? Right?
And you're saying these things are pretty darn secure. I know quite a few years ago, I'll say, close to 12 years ago, I had a grandson, and I invested several $1,000s in General Motors, a major corporation that I thought would be there 18 years later because of the largest manufacturer of cars in the United States and around the world. I knew that was a good, stable company. So I put kind of a lot of eggs in one basket. And then all of a sudden, the car industry in the United States gets in big problems. The government, under President Obama, wiped them all out except Ford. They wiped out Chrysler, they wiped out General Motors. And all of a sudden, that stock went to zero. Now, General Motors is still in business. They reissued all new stocks. But everybody that owned stock in the old one didn't get anything. Only certain individuals that were, I don't know, buddy with certain people got to buy General Motors stock, to where I lost everything, and a lot of my friends that I talked to later on.
You didn't listen to your grandmother, Mike.
I didn't listen to my grandmother. Well, I didn't put all my eggs. I just
eggs in one basket.
I put my grandson's education eggs in that basket, and that's why he's going to be a poultry guy. He's going to start raising chickens and make his own eggs.
In the stock market, if it's in Mexico, if it's in the U.S., if it's in Canada,
They go up and down.
You're not going to become a millionaire in the short term. It
No.
takes a long period of time. So,
But there's other ways in real estate. What are some of the hot things that are very
diversify, Michael. That's the best you could do.
what was the best?
Diversify. Yes. Gold, silver, real estate, equity funds.
And as
money
Victor just
market
pointed
funds.
out, and as you'll see on some of the slides, they've got some great opportunities for diversification. You mentioned some of the companies you all deal with.
Yes.
And they're all top notch. I mean, with a guy like me that knows all of them, when you look at them or mention them, that means they've got to be pretty darn public and stable, and people know of them.
Absolutely.
So that's,
absolutely. Yes.
It's not some you don't know, biochemical type company that has some new cure for something or other, pharmaceuticals and stuff. A lot of them, sometimes they come out real big and then they're gone. And but these are all very stable companies.
This is why the IPAV guarantee doesn't apply to us, because what we do is we buy the same bonds issued by IPAV or Bank of Mexico, CETES, talking about the money market. So in the slides I send you, you will see that I present to you FINAGU, a mutual fund that only buys government securities, CETES, with a value at risk of 0.07% and a value at risk allowed by the prospectus information of 1%. The value at risk, it's a similar statistic as the delinquency rate. Banks operate with a delinquency rate because the client died and didn't pay the credit card or moved out of the country. So the delinquency rate in the average bank, it's over 1%, 1.5 for Bancomer, for example. But that's why they need a guarantee, because they turn around and they lend the money to one of their clients, and then they charge the client a rate of interest, get the money back, and then they honor the money that you have on your checking account. But with us, that doesn't apply, because we don't lend the money to anybody. We buy bonds issued by the Bank of Mexico or treasury bills issued by the Bank of Mexico, which have zero risk. They have a valuation, and there can be a change in the valuation, but the authorities are overlooking at this number every day. So the variation cannot exceed a certain percentage by the prospectus information, and then there is a value at risk observed. That's super low percentage. Another one is Monex Mas. It has a value at risk of 0.011%, with a value at risk allowed by prospectus of information of 0.75. But the observed, it's many times less than the allowed of the prospectus. This gives you security, this gives you stability and high returns.
You can sleep well at night.
Well, that's the important thing. We've worked 30, 40, 50 years to get to a place where you can retire and you feel like you've done what you could to get here. But you want to continue. You maybe live another 20, 30 years after you retire. So let's make sure that everything is comfortable for you and that you have a good company like O'Rourke and Roy that's going to let you sleep at night, knowing you're not going to, have a crash in 1929 again or whatever happened in the late 70s again, in the early teens. And
so your money's going to be there the next day, the next week, the next year, the next 5 years.
And like you say, Mexico is a very secure country.
Correct.
A lot of people don't realize
Mexico
that.
has an investment grade. Not many countries do have, like say Brazil. Brazil, you can get 13%. You can go to Argentina and get 40, 50%. But no investment grade. There's your money's tied up, and when you pull it out, there's going to be a huge tax.
Oh yeah, taxes.
Mexico is a very liquid market. There's billions and billions daily negotiated. 70% of the pesos negotiated are abroad. So I can tell you the carry trade, rates in Japan are at 1%. They lend money and put it in Mexico at 10, 11%.
And no $20 trillion like our big brothers to the
with
north
us,
there.
you can come by and open an account with 1,000 pesos. You can come by, you can make a deposit of your personal check from the U.S. or Canada. You can may send a wire transfer. There's no managing fees, annual administration fees or monthly administration fees. Withdrawing pesos costs you 15 pesos. Transfer to your account costs 20 pesos. So we want to give the opportunity to anybody that wants to start building wealth for kids' education, for a car, for a vacation, whatever, with just 1,000 pesos, and you can start, investing in funds. We have a medium-term fund right now that's paying above 10%, starting with 1,000 pesos. That is so sweet. That is lovely.
We're just touching the tip of the iceberg here. There are so many services, or so much that has to be dealt with individually with each account and each customer.
Correct.
So what we're trying to do today is just let you know that O'Rourke and Lloyd are here They can help you, they can guide you, but you have to make the first step. You have to contact them and say, hey, can I come in for a sit-down personal
By all means, please.
meeting? Because every one of our financial situations is totally different. And they can sit down, they can look at part of your portfolio, they can look at what you have, where you are, where you've been, guide you the right direction.
Correct.
And then help you with other things like insurance and this, that, and the other. So, number one that I want you to be able to do is contact them. And if you don't mind, Victor, Cesar, please give out the information where they can. You gave out the website, please do that again. And then our listening audience can pass the information on to their friends and foe, and then they can also contact you and set up an appointment.
By all means.
And then you'll custom make a portfolio for everybody.
Physically, we are at Centro Laguna, right next to the Black Coffee, in front of Walmart. And you will see the big sign on Road Lloyd y Asociados. And yes, our webpage is www.oafondos.com.mx. You will see that in that same webpage, our clients can log in to check their balance, because our investments pay daily. You will see the investment grow daily. And yes, with a check from their US account, they can start bringing some of their assets to Mexico. Super easy. We give an exchange rate with 50 cents spread from the spot exchange rate, which is very decent. Most of the intermediaries charge a full peso, sometimes even more. And the mid-market rate is the rate that I'm talking about, which is the reference for intermediaries. From that exchange rate, we take 50 cents when we're buying, or increase sometimes 30 cents where we're selling.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not our main concern. Our main concern is to get investments into this country and in Mexico, so the returns are here and the person has some of their assets here. That will bring a peace of mind.
That's true. Especially if there's an emergency or something happens,
Yes.
like you mentioned.
Get run over, you got sick, you got your money.
Well, thank you very much, gentlemen, for your time. Is there anything in closing that I haven't mentioned that you just want to throw out and say, oh, you've got to talk about this real quick?
Well, just that that is very easy to deal with us. The only thing is that all our bank accounts are under the name of Oro y Asociados. We will be the investment account. That's why we have to do it that way. We're not a bank account.
Yes, that's understandable.
That would be the.
You'll explain everything
Yes,
when,
of course.
when our listening audience comes over and sits down, makes the appointment, and you sit down and look at each individual's account or whatever. You can help them out. So
Yes,
the
of
main thing
course.
is you all contact these gentlemen, and they'll be able to help you out and give you more stability, more security,
Correct.
and peace of mind.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you
It's
for
good to
having
see
us.
you again.
And it's great to be here.
Thank you very
Anytime.
much, sir.
Michael, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Pleasure.
It's going to close out this episode of Expat Conversations with Michael Nolen. Once again, we want to thank the University of Guadalajara for allowing us to extend this educational information to you all. And again, thank you very much to my guest that came and gave this knowledge to you all today. So enjoy your day. Appreciate it very much. And we'll see you on the next episode of Expat Conversations with Michael Nolen.
Thank you so much, Michael.
Thank you.
Happy trails to you until